Yeah, thank you all. For coming. Firstly, perhaps I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Transparency International for hosting this seminar and presenting an observation report of the elections, the 2002. Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee for the elections in Papua New Guinea, Governor Alan Baird, and Mr. Director Kasman and the Transparency International team, Excellency from New Zealand, and all the invited guests. Before making any remark or going to, I was just having a feeling that I should at least present something that happened. We can go work together with the Transparency International Observation and as the election management body who manage the election processes in the country. So it gives some reflections into each other as to how it was run and being observed by the observers. And I also would like to thank Governor Baird for taking the leadership in recognizing the elections in the country for the first time. Give a big hand. Election Commission, running of elections, preparing of elections, and conducting of elections has been difficult. And we have had these individual kind of operations in the country and only attended to by the minister. But now that Governor Alan Baird has taken the initiative to put up his hands to support the electoral process in the country, which is, I stand proud here to say thank you to you and the team that will now have a new look into the election process and the timings, the resources, and how we manage the elections in the country. So now you have provided to this time an opportunity and also a hope to the people of the country to especially exercise the democratic rights and give them the freedom and what they deserve to see in every polling place and what they wanted to do. And so thank you, Governor, for taking the leadership, and I appreciate that you have put hands up. Now let me go through the report by, just for your information. This report is going to be in three parts: the achievements and the challenges and the way forward. Just three. And that is what the Electoral Commission is at the moment going about doing. Do I control it here? This one? Okay. Okay, that's the presentation topics on overview, and that's the election cycle. And so the key challenges and the reforms that are being incorporated now and looking forward and going forward to into the future. Now, first is the overview. These are things that we have done during the elections. And in fact, it was a challenging elections for Electoral Commission in this time. Transparency, I appreciate that you took note of the resources, especially timing, and that the election was conducted. All of these things in Papua New Guinea, when we want to run elections, a big operation needs a lot of time. So that is why I thank Governor Baird for taking the time so we can at least now take into consideration these things that happen in the elections. Now, that's the mandate of the Electoral Commissions by law. Section 26 of the Constitution says we must run elections. And so PNGEC is tasked to organize and conducting elections in the country, both LLG and the national elections. So the Electoral Commission by law is mandated to run elections in the country. Now, those are some of the database that we are based on to organize elections. We have 22 provinces with managers and 22 assistant managers, so it's virtually only 44 staff, permanent staff in the provinces. So that you would realize and appreciate the fact with me that the capacity is a need in all the provinces when you try to manage 118 open electorates and 300 and plus LLGs and 5 million voters. So here we see 22 return officers for the provincial and 96 because we included 7 new electorates to the previous 89. So we have now 96 confirmed electorates. And so now total up to 96 and plus 22, we have 118. 375 assistant returning officers representing LLGs. And 6,000 plus polling teams and 10,000 counting staff. And so everything, the logistics and so forth. So which means the whole entire country goes into election. Those are the dates that we have worked on. We had a little bit of issue in between there because of some issues that arise and changes, and we fell short of time and we did extensions too. These are just the cycles of the operational planning where we engage in comprehensive operation plan, including concept of operations and operation plans and logistics and procurement plans, implementation schedules and interagency planning and security planners, partners and planning. So electorates, like I said, we had now is 118 plus the 96, 7 new open electorates. So we have 118 now confirmed. In 2022, 27 we will have added another 6 on, so 6 plus 118 will be now 224. So that's because the Parliament accepted the Boundaries Commission report. So we will now have additional in 2027. That, ladies and gentlemen, in history, we have never seen boundaries changes and additions since the independence up until this time. We have had the opportunity, and I appreciate that the government through this time and accepted our report and have accepted for 2 parts. One in 2022, which is 7, we already included in the elections, and another 6 will be added on in the next elections in 27. So now the problem with the role and updates. Role updates took place in December 2021 to April. This is by law, a returning officer must prepare electoral roll before 6 months before polling place. That's the direction or directive by law, by the organic law. And in 6 months to verify the voters and get the 5 million in order to enlist them to prepare for the elections is quite a difficult task. And so we really need a lot of time in there for new enrollments. Integrity measures were put in place for the role. However, time caught up with us, and we targeted the professional voters, people or young people who have turned 17, who would have turned 17 in preparation for the next election were considered, and those who have been already on the roll to be verified and confirmed onto the list. So that's the process. So how we did. So there's about 8.6 roll growth 2019 to 22, especially on the young people. Now, enrollment key achievements, electoral more than 695,000 people enrolled during the 2022 roll update, new transfer in and the professional voters. So that added on to, so 57% of those enrollments were 18 to 24 years old. PNGEC removed more than 230 ghost names and duplicates and all of that, underage and deceased, and we did at least some work within the 3 months. Had we had enough time, I think we would have done a better cleansing of the roll. So for Bougainville, the most recent electoral roll was used because they had their own time to run the community government, so they updated the roll. That's the enrollment and the number removed percentages. Okay, these are the total of enrollments of the age group. This is 57% enrollments, 18 to 24 years old. So it's the same thing reflecting in a different graph. Key challenges, delays in issuing risk funding and time problem. Roll update had been scheduled to begin in mid-2021, but field work unable to begin until January, February 2022. So February, March, and April, and when you want to issue the rate, how much would you expect to achieve? So those are the problems. The RAS roll update affected the quality and the integrity of the electoral roll, and to be frank. And so nothing can be done. But the good thing is we have the basic roles in existing role and data, so we try as much as we can to verify them at the ward level, because we got a ward-based role. In fact, it's mentioned there the time to conduct and display the roll process further. So additions and electoral. Now the nomination. 3,620 candidates nominated in the 1 week time. From there, I think 176 from the top of my mind, female candidates nominated. This time the comparison is there, the 2012 and 2022. 2012, we had 3,443, increased by, went up to 3,600. So 2022, we had more candidates contesting. So 65% of the candidates were independent, and 35% were endorsed by a political party. So those are the percentage of the gender breakdown on candidates. Male and female percentage. Only 5% of the candidates were women during 2022 and 2017 national elections. So 17, they were contestants. Unfortunately, no one won. But in 2022, I think through the awareness and the advocacy of women and gender equality and rights of the women and the vulnerable people to participate in elections, and we came out to have a separate line for the women in a polling booth. I think that encouraged very much that women folk came out, and we had two ladies candidates got elected, the Right Coast one and the Central Provincial candidates, which is a success, and we are happy about giving opportunity to the women in the polling booth. So we want to enhance that and emphasize more and conduct more awareness so that people can respect the rights of the women and also provide security and have the people to exercise the democratic right. That's the number of candidates that we had around the country. If you didn't know, that's the highest and the lowest. You would realize Simbu 75. You cannot believe, but that's 75. Eastern Islands 64. Sumkar 58. Dalo 57. And the lowest was 6. Bougainville Provincial and Rabaul, and those 4 down there. So we have a trend where I think must be Northeast is not mentioned in there. They got 76 or something. Yeah, so the trend of contestants, numbers are rising up. So I don't know, in 2027 with the inclusion of 6 more electorates, we might be expecting more. But we need to conduct a lot of awareness as to how and see why people are interested in politics. Key challenges are electoral calendar affected the dates for processing candidate nominations, and so all of those new electorates and all of that, so those are nomination period, that's easy. Polling and counting, now that's the 4th point. All the pollings went okay. We were able to provide the ballot papers and ballot boxes in all the council wards. On record, we have 6,375 council wards around the country. I think this election to come, we might increase the number because they have a lot of, they've done some changes and some create some LLGs and some wards. So we might have some increased number of LLGs this time around. All of those things are normal processes that followed. We have no issue in that. It's just the teams that polling officials' numbers very big, just too hard to manage in a very short period of time to select the people, and some, when they get trained, they don't come for work, and so you replace them in the very last minute. So it's like administrative processes are all difficult task to manage. Well, disseminated around 5.6 million ballot papers. This is 5.6 for the open, but it's also for the regional, provincial as well. So we're looking at a total of ballot paper about 11.2 million ballot papers, counting around the country. And so when we come to counting, and people thought that it was going to be just easy, but we are screening ballot paper, each of those 11 million ballot paper at the same time around the country. So that's why the countings were delayed for some time, and because there were a lot of complaints by the scrutinies, but little issues. Okay, all the rest are just administration. Counting took place in districts. We wanted to do a LLG-based Some provinces they did, some it did not work well, so everybody reverted back to district counting. Result transmission system, we placed some result transmission system with the tablets, but as the counting place, become intensified and intimidated by all of this interested party, the officers got scared and like they did not complete the data entry. So those are things that we need to manage. Okay, now key challenges. Delays in issuing of resources and time. Procurement process takes more than 3-4 months, especially the ballot boxes, ballot papers, and indelible inks and plastic shields and polling kits and all of those that need to be purchased in time in order for polling to happen. So we need able time. Some of those weather patterns and logistic issues are also another added problem to the polling processes. This all can be managed if we have enough time to at least plan properly. Return of which most parts of the country counting was completed smoothly. The good thing was that we did count pollings and the countings were done. So we used the available laws to us to at least complete the elections. So election violence is something that's, for me as the commissioner, I said I'm going to make a decision that will not affect and kill anyone, by anyone, but you have to consider that anything that happens must not be related to the election process, but it has to be related to their own interest. So as far as the records are concerned, I think we came out of that and we delivered. But those killings and whatever that happened was outside of the polling process, and it was aftermath and for some other, related to elections, but for their own, they have their own situations. Okay, now, despite the challenges, the 117 of the 118 reached return. 2 women candidates got elected, and one black-eyed one still in question. And so we hope it motivates women candidates and the women folk around the country now to think about organizing themselves to get into elections and start adding the numbers in Parliament. So that's we as Electoral Commission and the transparency, everybody else. I think with the leadership of Honorable Helen Bed, we will try as much as we can to provide the avenue for the ladies to participate very well. I mean, we are a gender equal populated country, so we got to consider equal participation in every decision making. So we have a hope now, and with the leadership that we can going forward in the future. Okay, total number of petitions now we have. Provincial electorates, open electorates, we have 102. Allegations, just errors and omissions, and some they say bribery. So all of these things are undue influence and all of that, and that the courts need to. They're working. We are working through with the courts now. We have engaged a number of lawyers. They're working. 2 got withdrawn as of yesterday. 2 got dismissed. 2 not attended to. And so we are reducing the numbers by now. Less than, and it's going down by 90 now and slowly going down. The courts are still in progress now. stakeholder participation, HIDEC and everybody else like TIPNG, all of us, we're grouping up, talking elections, relating to as to how we can teach and pass the knowledge of elections and the importance of elections to the other people. It's very important now we go to work together, and we have done that. We want to continue to do that by starting tomorrow, not later. Overall challenge election financing. Budget requested for this election was 460, including petitions and legal bills. We were given 311 million. We were able to pay out all the expenses, and in this election we want no outstandings like 2017, 12 and back. We say no outstanding elections. We don't want any liabilities for the government. So any claim that is going to finance to Treasury for 2022, it will be false. We are not going to see any. So we have cut down, especially on the vehicle hire, so we have cut down that, and we have come up with a policy for 6 months, 4 months, 2 months policy on the vehicle hires, and 1 day, 2 day for the polling. So we cut that part of the liabilities out, and it's now reduced to no outstanding so far. For the logistic big helicopter companies, we have no outstanding with them. It's all finished now. Vehicle hires and boats, we are paying them off. We will have no outstandings. We are controlling that side of the budget and the expenditures and the liabilities in the country where people took advantage to come up with paper claims and all of this in the city. So now we will have nothing. Law reforms and review are things that we are going to talk about with Chairman Baird and all of that. So those are some of the things that we are looking at, proposed, and we have proposed for one comprehensive through the HIDEC. We need to have our election summit in March, April somewhere, and try to get our information like this for everyone to come and speak out to Electoral Commission and everybody else, so that the committee led by Alan, so we can get the consensus from the voters and everybody else. So we have a collaborative effort to start to change the election laws and the face of the elections and the democracy and the integrity of the elections. So these are some of the things that we are thinking of doing. Ongoing, we are thinking about doing some of these things. Continue to exercise our mandated responsibility according to law. That is, we are looking at, while you are hearing, we have census, we have civil registry NID, we have NSO census, we have DPLGO, and we have the Electoral Commission. But ours is very, very specific. We are looking at 18 years plus people who are must enroll to get ready for the elections, and that is according to the law. In every elections, before every elections, electoral roll must be compiled. So those are the things that the difference into collecting database and the database that we must have as an electoral elector roll. Monitoring election petitions and all the storing of archiving and all of those informations. Like now reviewing the election observations, which is transparency, that, and last time we had the NRI, and some other recommendations from other people. We work on those observation reports and the recommendations especially to incorporate and integrate them to see the way forward into creating a legal framework to change if there is any need, and also to adapt into our administrative policies so that we towards improvising and the new phase electoral system and the integrity of the elections in the country. Okay, these are upcoming events, 3 by-elections. Okay, now we would like to also emphasize on the all of our society approach based on the ward level hub, so that people can support and identify the voters, so we don't make any mistake when we're doing that. So going back to here, when we talk about ward base going into the future, we're thinking, we have observed elections, and the normal way of doing elections has been taken advantage by people with interior motives and personal interest, is in encroaching or trying to control the system, electoral process, the process to make them win. And that amounts, and it's a result to a lot of election violence and hijacking, and people not working properly. And like Transparency International on its report, it says block voting, all of those things as reasons to do that. And so we would like to see a new database, Governor Harlan, while you are here. Yesterday we finished our workshop at the Lolowata, and I said, I want a permanent role, permanent polling schedule, and permanent polling place, permanent voters. It's all synchronized, and you have a permanent database, so we don't deviate. When it comes to LLG election or national elections, we should have a permanent place instead of trying to update it each year. And that we have 2 situations here. One, through the Department of DPLG, we can maintain the LLG, which they have the structure all the way down to the LLG level. And for us as Electoral Commission, we want to have a permanent polling schedule connected to the council ward and the polling place, and all of these polling teams and everything else, so we don't go around looking for information. And then by doing that, we would like to also see, if possible, new phase electoral roll, maybe come up with a portal roll for all the voters. And then that's the door open to the biometric, if you like. So we need to have a portal roll for all of the voters. Second thing is, and by doing that, I am looking at that because the current trend of elections and the polling, we're taking to the council board area, them being hijacked, and they're being people are being deprived from the right. So now we are looking at centralizing the polling places, centralize them to LLG by LLG, LLG by LLG. So we concentrate the security personnel and get the council votes and people to come to the central location to cast a vote. And by the portal and by any identity they have, maybe ID cards or anything else for that matter. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking, but there will be a lot of recommendations. I'm going to have a look at all the recommendations they make, and then see the way forward and the best suitable, not for the people, but to the system that people are beginning to hijack. We need to come out of that. And when we try to teach the people, they're not listening, and they're doing the same old thing. So now we change the system, change the process so that people can come and, we control it by changing the policies, not trying to change the people's mind and way. When we try to bring it to the council votes, they're doing the other thing altogether. So we try to manage it the other way around. So see if it can work. We're going to start using that in any by-elections now, so we can see how people might say, oh, how are you going to get the voters into a LLG election? The LLG, electorate is got only 3 LLGs. They have 1 LLG, for instance, if you didn't know, they only have 14 council votes, and those 14 council votes are within the vicinity of the LLG. They are accessible by any road, any means. They can come, so let's not spoon feed them. We have to now take control of the system, and people must know that there are policies and people are controlling and managing the systems instead of letting loose and people start, cannibalizing the system. With that, those are some of the things I'm thinking, and also we will now look at the other observation reports and we'll integrate it into our operational plans, set out objectives and try working towards those gaps that we have just mentioned from the challenges we're facing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sinai, for providing that comprehensive presentation on some of the achievements, some of the challenges that the PNG Electoral Commission experienced, as well as the way forward, which I think will inform a lot of the panels that we'll be having over the next 2 days.